Melanie Joly is Canada's Foreign Affairs Minister, and she's with me now. Minister Joly, thank you very much for making the time. I appreciate it.
It's a pleasure, Vashi. Thank you.
I'd like to start, Minister, with the Canadians affected by the attack on Israel and where things stand. Can you let everyone watching really know what you've been able to confirm about those who either were killed or who are missing?
So we've received reports of one Canadian dead and also 3 missing. So that's the information I can provide you at this point. And of course, my thoughts and my heart is with those who were affected by this multi-front terrorist attack against Israeli people.
You say you've received those reports. Has Canada been able to independently confirm any of them?
We're in touch with families, and it is important for me also in this context of making sure that when it comes to missing people, that we don't necessarily confirm. Why am I saying that is in the context of potential hostages, taking at that point, we don't want to increase the value of these hostages or put their lives even more at risk. And so that is why I'm giving you the answer as we speak.
Understood. Minister, I know that, and we have heard, as well as other members of Parliament, from a number of Canadians attempting to get assistance who are perhaps over in Israel. And I just wanted to make sure I ask you, just for the record, first of all, because there's been lots of back and forth. Is the embassy open and able to take those requests for help?
Yes, the embassy in Tel Aviv is open. The embassy also in Ramallah is open. Both are open, and I made sure that they were open. The team has been working since the beginning of this terrorist attack by Hamas, which of course we condemn, since Saturday. At this point, what I can tell you, Vashi, is there's 2,500 Canadians who've registered with the embassy in Israel, 500 of them that have registered in Gaza and the West Bank. 800 calls have been received and responded by the team. We've increased our capacity also in different embassies of the region to help with support to Canadians. So we have more people working out of Egypt, Lebanon, and Jordan on this issue, and also in Ottawa. So this is clearly our priority. And I can give you the phone number for people that are watching, for them to know if they have friends and loved ones in Israel and also in the West Bank and Gaza. So 1-613-996-8885. And please, I know your producer has the information. It is also on my social media, so it's important that this be broadcasted.
No, for sure. I understand that. I just want to clarify, when you say that you've added additional resources to embassies in the area, can you be specific? And the reason I'm asking, I saw the deputy leader of the Conservatives, for example, put on her social media, quote, more than 100 Canadians have reached out to my office seeking help in returning home from Israel because the requests for assistance have either been ignored and left unresolved by the government of Canada. Can you respond to that? And can you quantify to what degree you have increased resources to deal with the additional requests for help?
So every ask we've had has been responded. Of course, that's what we do. We have a lot of experience now. Since I'm foreign minister, we had to deal with Ukraine. We had to deal with Sudan. This is now a very difficult and dire situation. So yes, we've been in contact also with the deputy leader of opposition office. My parliamentary secretary, Pam Damoff, has been reaching out also to many of the opposition leaders and members. I've been in contact also with members from all sides of the spectrum, the political spectrum, because it is a time where we come together. We don't politicize this issue. We're there for Canadians. This is our utmost priority, and that's what we're doing right now.
Is there any, or are there any discussions rather underway about something like planes or flights or helping people who need to leave? Is anything of that sort in the works?
So we've been following this issue very closely. I've been in contact many times with the Minister of Transport. And of course, we don't want to advise Canadians to go to the airport, for example, in Tel Aviv, if they're at risk of any rockets being launched, and therefore their lives could be in danger. So right now, the advice is to shelter in place. So we'll continue to follow the local authorities' security advice. allies. At the same time, we're looking at what can be done and working with allies on this very issue.
Minister, from the intelligence that you've seen at this point and the conversations you've had with your counterparts around the world, do you believe this was a failure of intelligence?
Well, this was definitely a problem in terms of being able to see what was coming. And it was definitely a surprise. I think it took the world by surprise, but now we're dealing with the consequences, Vashi. And, at this point, we believe, and I've said it in my declaration on Saturday morning, we believe in Israel's right to defend itself against this multi-front terrorist attack by Hamas. It needs to do so, of course, according to international law. Hostages must be released. Civilians must be protected. And this is the other part of what I've been doing a lot over the weekend. First has been really to support Canadians, and second, it's to really try to de-escalate along with regional partners that I've been in contact with. So I've talked to, of course, my Israeli counterparts, so the foreign minister of Israel, also from the Palestinian Authority, also from Egypt and Jordan. I'm in contact also with my Saudi counterpart, and I've been in contact with the White House and the State Department in the US. So there's a lot of diplomatic engagement. We need to make sure that this conflict does not become even a broader conflict in the region. It is important for diplomacy to work, while meanwhile we completely understand the anger and the frustration of the Israeli people who woke up on Saturday morning with the biggest terrorist attack they have to deal with since 50 years.
I have to ask you, Minister, based on those conversations that you just named off, do you believe at this point that de-escalation is possible, especially given, for example, Hamas saying today that it will execute those hostages, to match any sort of attacks on Gaza or counterattacks on Gaza without warning? I mean, there's neither side at this point is saying, I'm open to de-escalation.
Mm-hmm. Well, it will get worse before it gets better, Bashi. We know that. And that was clear also through my conversations with my Israeli counterpart. And that is why we stand by the right for Israel to defend itself according to international law. But that's why also in this context, civilian lives must be protected. That's really important. And meanwhile, we need to continue to engage with many countries in the region. I know that's what my American counterpart is doing, Tony Blinken. That's what also my European counterparts are doing in Germany and France and the UK. We're all in contact also amongst each other, because this is a very, very difficult and problematic situation. So this hasn't happened, like I mentioned, in 50 years, and we need to make sure that this conflict doesn't become a broader problem within a broader conflict in the region. And meanwhile, there are a lot of issues around the world. We already have the conflict in Ukraine, and that's why we need to make sure that we don't open a second front.
Just picking up on that point of the potential broader implications in the region, Canada's ambassador to the UN, Bob Ray, yesterday told me there's, quote, no question from his perspective Iran was involved in this attack. Do you agree?
I won't speculate on the involvement of Iran, and that's what I can say about that.
Why won't you speculate on, given the reaction Iran has had since the attack on Saturday, given the known financing of Hamas? Why is that not something that you're willing to comment on at this point?
Well, it's, I'm not saying that Iran is a friend to Canada. We have no diplomatic relationships with Iran for the very reason that we think that their regime is extremely problematic. And I've dealt with them on many fronts, including on the PS 752 issue and killing of Canadians, and at the same time on what they've done to particularly women and girls in Iran and the woman life freedom movement. But that being said, at this point, as foreign minister, I won't speculate on this issue because at this point, I'm doing the diplomatic work along with many of my colleagues to make sure that there's de-escalation and that the conflict doesn't become broader within the region.
Is Ambassador Ray wrong to say what he did?
Ambassador Ray can, of course, tell his opinion. We are in close contact. I spoke to him 2 times yesterday, and I'll continue to support him in his good work at the UN.
Okay, Minister, I appreciate your time very much. Thank you. Mélanie Joly is
Thank you.
Canada's Foreign Affairs Minister.